and welcome back to our kitchen. It's Cooking on a Budget and I'm TJ.
I'm Cody. And I'm Tristian.
And today Cody's going to cook bacon and lentil soup for you, and Tristian's going to cook a fat chocolate cake for us. I am so excited. So here we go.
Okay, so I'm going to start cutting the onion up. So we're just going to cut it in half, and then we're just going to hold it and make these nice little slots in it. I'm just going to cut these carrots, okay? So I'm literally just, cut the ends off and then just peel it. So now I'm just going to cut it into thin slices. I've just cut it in the middle so it makes it smaller. Just be careful when you're cutting things, you don't make your hands out the way.
Yeah, keeping those fingers and thumbs well and truly out of the way is very important.
Oops.
And if it goes on the floor, that's one for the bin. No worries, we can pick it up later. Or just remember that it's there so we don't slip on it. So everyone's busy this morning, just chopping everything up already. So it's one large onion that is diced up and 2 average size carrots all sliced. And then we're going to fry the onions off and then add the other ingredients. This is really tasty soup to make and really quite easy. And you've got 2 choices at the end. You can either leave it with, there's lots going on the floor over there, Tristian. You've got 2 choices. You can either liquidize it all at the end if you like it nice and smooth, or if you like it more like a broth, you can leave it with all of the chunks in. That's just flicking around.
Yep. Okay, now we're just going to chop these potatoes up. But first we're just going to grab this pot. Move this out of the way. Then we're just going to pour all of these onions in. And we've already put our oil in.
So yes, it's about 2 tablespoons of oil in there, just to start frying the onions off. So you want to put it on sort of a medium to high heat just to get it all going. That's it, lovely.
Okay, so while that's cooking, I'm just going to cut this.
So we've peeled 2 potatoes already. So we're cutting the potato in half, and then we're cutting it into fours. That's it. Well done.
Tristian, can you go check on the onions, please, and stir them? Yes.
That's it. So you just need to keep going back and checking on the onions, giving it a little stir, because you just want them to brown off before we put everything else in. So the potatoes will be one of the last things that you put in to your soup, or your broth, whichever one you want to call it. It's because obviously they start to go soft quicker than anything else. So once your onions start to brown off, we'll see how they're doing. Yep, they're starting to cook off quite well, so we'll be able to add the bacon to it now.
So this is smoked bacon. We've got it in like some nice chunks here.
Now you do need to use smoked bacon or smoked gammon. The reason being is that if you use the normal one, it just won't be strong enough flavouring to come through. So we can see that that's all, so we'll just stir that around, mix it all up a little bit. And that will all start to cook off. And we'll start to get some lovely flavourings from that. And then we can add the carrots into that. So you're just going to let that cook off just for a couple of moments, where it starts to make sure everything's browning off very slightly. So it will only take a couple of minutes, but you can really smell the juices that are coming out of the food, so it's quite nice. That's it. Now what you need to watch out for as it's cooking off now is that none of it sticks to the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to add the salt and pepper. So it's about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt, depending on how much salt you like. And just about half a teaspoon of pepper as well. And then it's a teaspoon of mixed herbs. That's it, and we'll stir all of that in.
Okay, so now we're just going to add the lentils. Thank you.
So these are red split lentils. You could add other things like barley and peas and things like that if you wanted to.
And then we're just going to add this hot water over here.
So this is about 1.5 pints of water or a litre, whichever one you prefer. Give it a good stir. Then you're going to give it a really good stir.
But slowly, so you
and then you're going to turn the heat down to a low heat. Okay, and then we want to add a vegetable stock cube. So we're going to dissolve a vegetable stock cube into half a pint of water now.
Okay, just put it in here.
And then we're going to stir it around. If you want it to dissolve quicker, you just need to break it up and rub it between your finger and thumb so that it dissolves much quicker. It does take a little bit of time, but then it will do that. And then when it's dissolved, we can add that to the pot. How are we doing? Nearly there?
Just check. Yep, I say that.
Yep, so we can then stir that in.
Thank you, Tristian, for that. That's right.
And then we're going to add the potatoes. Okay, you just need to watch that they don't splash back on you. That's it, just gently dropping them in, that's good.
It's always good to have a helping hand.
It always is, yes. So just make sure you get across the middle to make sure that none of it has stuck to the bottom. So you can see that you don't see that the red lentils have swelled up yet, but they will swell up and then this will become a thick soup or broth. It will take 30 minutes to an hour. So we're just going to leave that now and we're going to put a lid on that so it can simmer away. So we'll keep coming back and checking on it every few minutes and just making sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. So we'll see you soon.
See ya.
The recipe for you today, this is bacon and lentil soup. 1 onion diced, 150 grams of bacon diced. This one needs to be smoked bacon. 2 carrots sliced, 2 potatoes diced, 250 grams of red lentils, 1 teaspoon of mixed herbs, 1 vegetable stock cube, 2 pints of water and some salt and pepper to taste.
Okay, so now we're making chocolate cake.
Okay, so we'll just have a look at that recipe. So, fat chocolate cake for the sponge, 340 grams of butter, a mug of black coffee, 85 grams of cocoa powder, 150 grams of dark chocolate, 450 grams of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 6 eggs, 3 yolks, 250 grams of plain flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. If you're gluten-free, just add 1/4 teaspoon of gum. And for the butter icing, 150 grams of icing sugar, 50 grams of marge and 50 grams of cocoa powder. Okay, back to you then, Tristian.
Okay, so first we're going to add the butter. Just going to pop it in there.
Okay, so that's gone straight into the pan.
Then I'll just pour in the coffee. There we are.
Brilliant.
So now I'm just going to put it on the hob at quite a high heat.
Excellent.
Okay. So Cody's just over there grating and chopping up the chocolate. Dark chocolate. Yeah, dark chocolate.
So the idea is to make the chocolate as little as possible so it melts off in the pan as quickly as possible. So we don't burn it. So what's this looking like in there? That's an interesting look, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's rather strange to add coffee to a cake, but it does give it that richer taste. So if you want that richer taste in your chocolate cake, then just add some black coffee. So you can see that's starting to melt down now. So you want to put your oven on as well for 180 degrees. So it's warming up and ready to go. That's really starting to melt down quite quickly now, so that's good. So we'll just give that a moment.
It's got quite a glittery thing.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Can I say that?
So yeah, so it looks sort of glistenery, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So we're nearly all melted on that, aren't we?
Yep. I How's Cody doing?
Yeah, we'll see how Cody's doing because we need that chocolate in a moment. How's it going, Cody?
All right.
So you can choose to grate or chop. Cody originally was chopping it away but decided to go on to grating. Aye. And we're going to add all of that to the pan in just a moment. So we'll see how we're getting on. So yeah, so I think we're ready for the cocoa powder now.
Okay, so just going to add the cocoa powder in.
And you might want to turn that pan down from a hot heat to a low heat. So we've added the cocoa, we've had a little spillage, but that's okay. So you want to keep this down on a low heat at the moment while we're stirring everything in. We're going to add all of this lovely chocolate. We'll bring this pan over, I think.
One lot. 2 lots.
Excellent. And then we'll take that back over to the hob. So we're going to give that a stir just for a couple of minutes to let that melt into there. Now that shouldn't take long at all because that we've chopped it so finely. So let's see how it's doing.
It's already pretty much melted.
Fabulous. So couple more stirs and then we'll take off because what we don't want is that chocolate to burn. Fabulous. Do you think that's all melted now?
I think so.
Yeah, it looks great. So if we take that off there now, and we'll bring that over to here. Okay, so we're going to add the sugar in now. So we'll add all of the sugar that we've got. And give that a good stir around as well. And that should melt in with all of the heat that's already in there.
There we are.
Brilliant. Then we're going to add in the 3 egg yolks.
Yeah.
And then we're going to crack open the 6 eggs and add them. So there's a lot of eggs in this one. If you are vegan or egg free, then use the alternative with the flax seeds for this. And the chocolate is dark chocolate, so that is dairy free. And although you'd think that dark chocolate's quite bitter to cook with, it actually doesn't come out bitter. It's really nice taste to it. Whereas if you use milk chocolate, that can often lose its flavour. So why are you breaking them all into the jug first,
Just
Cody?
to make sure they're good and no eggshell gets in.
Fabulous. Rather than fishing around in the mixture, huh?
Yeah.
Plus, if there was a rotten egg and you've poured it straight into the pan, you'd then have to throw all of your ingredients away and start again, wouldn't you?
Yeah, which would be a real waste.
It would. And as we were doing it on a budget, we really don't want to be wasting lots of money. So this is for a really nice big cake, so it's going to be lovely. So we'll see how that's looking at the moment. So that's quite a rich mixture. Then we're going to add a tablespoon of the vanilla.
Cody, can you add that in? Tablespoon of vanilla extract.
Okay, and then we need to add the 250 grams of flour. So we're just going to gently fold that in. And we're going to fold in a tablespoon of baking powder. It's just here, Cody. So a tablespoon of baking powder. And we want 1/4 of a teaspoon of gum because we're doing ours gluten-free. Okay, and then we're going to use our mixer to mix it all up for a couple of minutes. And you see that mixture is becoming much thicker now.
Yeah, much more.
So you just want to make sure the flour comes off all the sides and the bottom.
Yeah, so I've got it quite loamy at the moment. And you want to make sure you don't pull up the mixer, otherwise the mixer could go everywhere.
This is true, and that would be rather messy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, very.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we're going to get the 2 pans ready for the cake mixture to go into. So we've put some baking powder in the pans. So we've got it around the sides and we've got them in the bottom. So we've cut the shapes out and then we've put a little bit of marge around to hold the paper in place. And then we're going to pour this into each of the pans.
Okay. Coach, can you come help? It's really good to have another person to help you.
It is good to have another person to help.
Do you want me to hold it? Yeah, if you want to.
And that's it. So we'll try and get half of the mixture in each of them evenly.
Tell me when to stop. Stop. There we are.
Yeah, some concentration going on here.
Make sure it's both even.
We've got lots of mixture, so it's quite a filling one this time. That's it, and then just scrape out the pan to make sure you can get as much of the mixture and leave none left. Both doing a grand job working there together, lads.
Nearly done. Just gonna get a little bit more up. So I do.
That's it. And then you just need to shake both of the pans just to make sure that we've got no bubbles in the middle of the cake. That's it. And then we made some little tops to go on just to make sure that the tops didn't get burnt. Then we just lay that gently on the top. And we'll open the oven.
Yeah.
And then we'll pop them in the middle shelf. Fabulous. Right, so that needs to cook off for about 30 minutes. We'll see you in a moment.
Okay, so now I'm making the butter icing to go on top of the cake. So first we're going to add 150 grams of icing sugar. Just going to measure that out. Might get a little messy. There we are. Now we're going to measure out. Oh wait, let's measure this up first. It's really 50 grams of cocoa powder.
So any cocoa powder will do. You can just get the cheapest one from your supermarket. They're all pretty much the same.
There we are. Then we're going to measure out 50 grams of butter. But if it needs some more, you can just add some more.
So you can choose to add a hard marge, or you can use a butter. We use a dairy-free butter, but you can choose whichever one you want. Often some of the cheaper ones are just as good.
I'm first going to just fold it in, and then I'm going to mix it with the hand blender. I'm just mixing it in with this, so when I use hand blender, hopefully it won't go everywhere.
Yeah, as you can see, as soon as you start to use the icing sugar, the dust lets off a nice big cloud from it. So try not to inhale it. If you're in a normal mixer, then perhaps put just a damp tea towel over the top. That's what we normally do, but for the purpose of this today, we've decided to use a hand mixer. If you're using, you can do it with a fork. It takes quite a lot longer with a fork, but if you use a hand mixer, then unfortunately you have to just pretty much go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to try with the hand mixer now. I'm just going to put it at a low range.
So you can see it's a bit dusty, so it will make a little bit of a mess for you to clear up, but the taste of your butter icing afterwards will be lovely.
You might need to add some more butter there. You might need to add some more butter, or if it's too wet you might have to add some more icing sugar. So I'm just going to add some more butter.
So sometimes this is a bit of a trial and error part of the recipe, because some of the time it depends on how you like the taste. Today we're adding just chocolate, but other times when you're doing butter icing you might want to add vanilla essence or other flavourings to it. So you can see as the butter starts to mix in with the icing, it's starting to become more solid. It does take a while to do, in the fact of it coming together. It's not an instant come together, it's just sort of a couple of minutes, and then it all comes together really well. That's it, and just try to get all around the sides of the bowl so that everything's added in. If you need to, you can stop for a moment and use the spatula to bring everything in from the sides and the underneath, just to make sure that it's all joined up. And if you're in a big mixer, you'll probably definitely have to do that. And then you see it all coming together now, and it will all stick together properly. Just needs that extra couple of moments. So you might want to turn the mixer up at this point now that it's not got dust going everywhere.
You see it's forming now. Just going to scoop around the edges quickly. There we are.
You see, that looks like a really thick and delicious butter icing. So once you get to this stage, you actually want to know what it tastes like before it goes on the cake, because at this stage you could add more flavourings to it, you could add more icing to it or more butter if it tastes too sweet. So Tristian, if you get yourself a little spoon and just give it a tiny little taste, just to see if that is okay, if it's chocolatey enough for you, or whether it's too buttery, or whether it tastes too sweet for with the icing.
Try it quick. I need a little icing sugar.
Okay, so it's too buttery, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your time to make sure that you get the perfect icing or frosting, whatever you want to call it.
Just gonna mix it with now.
So you can do this with any flavourings, no matter what flavour you want to do, just by changing what you're adding to it. So you're either going to add, you could add strawberries to it, raspberries, you can add colourings. Just make sure that you keep doing taste tests to see how it's tasting and alter it accordingly. Doesn't have to be perfect first time, it's about that little experiment and seeing what it is that you personally like.
Yeah, I think that's done now.
That's brilliant. And I noticed that you used a different spoon every time, so that's great hygiene practice, because you don't want to put your germs into there, do you?
No.
Okay, any more advice for anyone on the butter icing?
If it's not too dusty, just add some more butter, and if it's too wet, just add some more icing sugar.
That's brilliant. Great, right, we're ready to put that on our cake now.
Okay, so we've let the cakes cool for a bit. We've put some butter icing on. We've trimmed this off to make it more flat, and now I'm just going to put it on quickly. There. And now I'm just going to add some more butter icing on top. Just going to put it on there.
So you're just going to spoon it on with a big spoon, dump it all on top, and then smooth it all out, yeah?
Yeah.
So you're just going to take all the remainder out of the bowl and just put it all on top. That's going to be a really lovely chocolatey cake.
Yep.
It looks like it's not the easiest of stuff to manoeuvre, is that right?
No, it's not that easy. Some people it might be, but you need to make sure you don't like pull off the cake and just spread it around.
So does sometimes some of the cake come sort of crumble away then?
Can, yeah.
What do you like about cooking, Tristian?
It's quite fun to do.
It could be quite messy at times too, can't it?
Yeah. Can do it with family, which is quite fun. You can make like loads of different things.
Is it one of those things that no matter what your ability or what your illness or what your learning difficulties are, anybody can do it?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and does it always go right?
No.
Are there lots of mistakes at different points?
Yeah, loads.
Is that part of the fun of it?
Yeah, pretty much. But once you make a mistake, you learn for next time.
That's it, and that's all good, isn't it? As long as you learn every time.
Yeah.
So, and I think sometimes it's fun when it goes everywhere. I mean, I can see that you're covered in icing sugar everywhere. Yeah. And obviously it makes no difference because it all washes up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And earlier on you spilt cocoa powder everywhere because you've got the bit of the shakes today. And and that's all okay because it very quickly cleaned up, didn't it, Tristian?
Yeah.
Oh, the cooker looked very chocolatey for a little while. And it's okay to be like that. So anyone that's worried about giving it a go, or especially letting any of their children have a go, what would you say to them?
Just try it and have fun.
That's it. And if it's all just a mess afterwards and it's half cooked in the middle, just throw it away and give it another go.
Yeah, more times you do it, the more better it gets.
Oh, that's good. So is that ready to be left to settle for a little while, is it?
I'd say so, yeah.
Brilliant. We'll come back in a little while then.
Hey.
Okay, so we are back again. We have got our end product. So we've got our, we've decided not to blend ours down. So you can see that ours is more of the brothy type looking soup. And I'm quite looking forward to it. We cut a slice of the cake out after Tristian's iced it. So we're quite looking forward to trying that as well. And like Tristian was saying earlier, just give everything a go. You know, you don't know until you've tried it. If you don't like it, it doesn't make a difference. If it goes wrong, again, it doesn't make any difference. It's just a bit of fun. And it's interesting to see what else is out there and try something new. So I'm going to give this a try. I think Cody is as well.
I'll try some of this. Really nice.
That's really nice. You can really taste the smoked bacon in that, and it brings all of the flavourings through. I definitely recommend that, especially on a winter's day when it's a bit cold and you can wrap yourself up. I recommend that. And if anyone's up north, this is sort of based on my dad's recipe of his broth. So anyone that's up north will definitely remember some of this. And how was the cake?
Very nice.
I'm going to try just a little bit of that as well. You can see that's looking nice. Whoops. It's very, very sweet. So I wouldn't have a really big slice of that because it's quite sickly. But in the fact that it's really, really chocolatey. So if you like really, really chocolatey cake, definitely go for that. If you want to make it a bit more chocolatey, as some people do, and you want a bit more of the death by chocolate, then cut your layers down into half and then add more butter or icing in between, and that will definitely make it even more so. So this is a lovely dinner and a lovely dessert. Give it a go, see what you think. We'll be back next week with more cooking on a budget. Can't wait to see you. Have a fabulous week. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.